From the League of Gentlemen release, that is Tracii Guns with She's a Witch from the League of Gentlemen release. And this is Neeley in the League of Gentlemen with another gentleman I just call Chris Aiken. What's going on, Chris?
Hello, kids.
Well, we are back after my hiatus last week, and we are ready to rock once again.
We are ready to rock. Do I have a shitty connection right out the fucking jump?
You do.
Fuck. Hold, please.
Well, while Chris is doing that, we were supposed to have Tracii on the show again, and as of this minute, I've had no confirmation from Tracii about his appearance on the show tonight.
Am I going to have to start sharing how much he gets paid? Am I going to have to do this a second time? What the fuck?
Well, I'm sure that whatever he gets paid is a lot different now, being that he's part of the Rating the Rock Vault at the Las Vegas Hilton.
Right.
Since he's a guitarist there now. So I'm sure that probably brings in a pretty steady paycheck since they play 5 or 6 nights a week.
What are you thinking? $100 a night?
No, I'm sure it's probably. I'll bet you he's probably making $5-6 grand a week.
5 or 6 grand a week?
Yep.
Really?
I would think so. For a show like that, I would think 5 or 6 grand a week. It's probably $1,000 a night.
Wow. That's a lot of fucking coin, dude.
Not bad.
No, that's solid. Me and you would take it
easily. But anyway, as you know, Mr. Aiken.
Yes.
I shared some emails back and forth with Tracii this week.
Right.
And he's like, "Yeah, dude, let's do it. I can go on at 6 p.m. Pacific. I can give you guys an hour."
All right, well, and he's on the phone right now. Hey, Tracii, how you doing, buddy?
And here we are.
Tracii?
And there's no Tracii.
Tracii? Where are you, Tracii? Did your bus that cost $1,500 a day break down?
So here we are. We're live on the Classic Metal Show. I had sent him a reminder email. Hey, we're on tonight. Be ready at 6:15 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah.
Let's get this thing rolling. And nothing.
Very nice. Fuck them. That's what I say.
Well, I don't get it. It's just like you got a new record out. You're in the Rating the Rock Vault. 2 weeks ago, you didn't want to come on because you didn't promote it enough or have time to promote it. I gave you 2 extra weeks. We're here and nothing.
You know who I blame?
Who?
Scott Thomas, the publicist. You didn't even set it up with him.
No, I went directly with Tracii because I know Tracii.
That's what you get for not going through official channels.
I guess.
So that somebody can kick him in the balls and tell him, "Hey, fuckhead, fucking make your phone call, dick."
Right. So I know people wanted to, there were some people, I noticed there were a few Facebook posts this week that says, "I hope he doesn't ditch out on you guys at the last minute." Well, unfortunately, that seems to be the case.
Would you like to interview me as Tracii?
No, I know you're going to be all negative and shit, so I don't want to start off with a negative note here.
Why would you think that?
Because this kind of stuff does not set well with you. It doesn't set well with me, and it sets even worse with you. How's that?
It definitely sets worse with me. Nothing pisses me off more than when we waste our fucking time to promote their shit, right, and then they don't show. Because we're not getting nothing from it. We're selling his shit, not the other way around.
And we did it because we like the record.
Yeah, we like the record. You like Tracii. It's all good.
Right.
It's almost all good.
Well, there are a lot of upsides for Tracii on this.
Yes.
A lot. No skin off. There was no skin off my back or yours if we had him come on and talk about his new record.
Well, when he goes and does, Heavy Metal Dad and Anime Girls show, then he'll get some real fucking press. He doesn't need us.
But anyway, as you know, I started off the week Monday.
Yeah.
And I copied you in on the emails.
Yep.
And said, "Hey, are we doing this week?" "Yeah, let's do it." It's like, okay, let's.
Do you see what Angel of Death just posted in the chat room?
What?
I'd like an interview with Chris as Tracii.
I'm sorry, guys and gals, but it just didn't happen.
Well, Angel, you know how to make that happen.
Oh, wait a minute. Tracii just emailed me. Oh, here's the number.
Oh,
He
good.
just emailed me.
Up.
Okay, so we can take the bashing back.
Tracii, you're great. You've never done anything wrong ever. Call his ass up right now.
I am.
All right.
There we go.
Make sure he knows he's on the air.
What? Oh, hold on, Wendell. Yeah.
See, he can call me Wendell and get away with it.
Another Wendell.
Shit. Fuck. Sorry, dude. I just got done with sound check. Okay. I'm here. I'm here.
You were just taking a verbal bashing, and then you had to come through. God damn it!
Yeah, I know. I'm used to it.
Tracii, it's been a while. We're glad to have you on the Classic Metal Show, and I'm glad we got you on because Chris was about ready to tear the console out.
Aw, sorry, man.
He was going to destroy the studio. God damn that, Tracii. He said he was going to be on this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I knew. I was sitting up there sound checking going, hey, guys, I got to go. Guys, I got to go. Guys, I got to go. Guys, I got to go.
Well, that's cool that you were concerned about the Classic Metal Show over a big Las Vegas production.
I was, because it's my record we're going to talk about.
That's right. And Tracii, I'm just gonna tell you, and this is not sucking your dick, but I love the record, and Chris does too.
Absolutely.
Oh, great, man! Thank you. Well, you guys are my age, I think.
Yes,
you know,
we are.
I made that record for myself. You know, so I had to make something that I could listen to because nothing had come out in a long time. And, you know, it's made for guys like us.
Well, Tracii,
you know?
I think what probably struck me with this record is the way that you were able to recreate an era gone by and do it fresh. That's what's amazing.
Right.
It isn't a covers record. It isn't copying what somebody else has already done. You guys actually created an era in music, and I'm going to tag it between 66 and 71. That you guys just nailed it like it was 1969 again.
Well, you know, that was the intention too. You know, the thing is with Scott, the singer, you know, he's a really young guy. I don't even think he's 31 yet. And when I met him, you know, in a late 2000, like 2007 or 2008, he struck me as this guy that was like frozen in time, you know. And I met him. He auditioned for this band. Me and Brian Tishy were doing like kind of a Zeppelin tribute band for NAMM show. And he walked in, and he nailed the Zeppelin stuff, but there was something else about him. And so I just became friends with him. And, you know, as I got to know him, you know, we just started writing tunes and stuff. And then a couple of years went by, and I got a hold of him again and said, hey, man, you know, remember when we started writing tunes? I go, why don't we do this, you know? And you know, he was all about it. And then for me, the first 6-7 months of putting this thing together was about learning exactly how I wanted to record, because I wanted to do it myself. I didn't want, you know, I was tired of producers and other engineers and that stuff, because they always make the records they want to make and the sound that they want it to sound like. And I wanted to make a record that would sound the way that I like to listen to music. So, you know, during the writing process, I was also learning how to record, you know, in like kind of a mid-60s, late 60s kind of way. And having to do it, you know, mainly digitally. You know, I have a bunch of tape machines that I use and stuff like that. But it was being able to really recreate that sound, that vibe. The right guys had to be in the band to play the instruments. You know, I couldn't just do everything. You know, I had to have a drummer that played like that, a bass player that does that, a keyboard player that does that, and a vocalist. And, man, you know, we were writing and recording and touring at the same time and just, you know, really, really crafting it. And so all 5 guys, you know, at the end of, you know, a song would be like, yeah, that sounds like 1969. All right, let's move on. You know, and that was the complete intention of it. And, it is surprising to people like you even, you know, it's like whoa, what the hell is this?
Well, Tracii, I'm going to backtrack just for a second because we never even said the name of the band or the album. So the the name of the band is called Tracii Guns League of Gentlemen, And the name of the record is just simply The First Record. To tie that all into something that actually sounds like an interview question, where'd the name come from?
Nowhere in particular. You know, I started out with LOG because it would be next to LAG, which is LA Guns in the record pile if there were records, you know. So when it was just log, I was watching The Extraordinary League of Gentlemen one night, and I was like, oh, League of Gentlemen, LOG. Oh, look at that. It all makes sense. This is pretty. But we call the band The Logs with an S, you know, just simply The Logs. Okay. But you know, the LOG has to stand for something, so it's the League of Gentlemen.
Sure. Now listening to it, and as you've already expounded upon, it definitely has that old school 60s, 70s rock type of a sound, you know, especially for yourself, because I don't know a whole lot about the other guys in the band really, but I know for you, certainly you're a fan of that, but that's not something you've ever written, you know, professionally, I guess, before. You know, how difficult was it to put yourself into a totally different mindset from anything you had ever done, you know, in a studio before?
Believe it or not, it was the easiest and longest process, you know, because that's the type of music, you know, we grew up on, that we really grew up on. You know, our parents listened to it, and then we got into it and that stuff. And so when I was a kid, you know, when I was between 6 and 15, that was the only kind of music I had to learn from. You know, and there was a lot of mellotrons, and there was a lot of organ, and even if they weren't out front, that was the supporting cast in that type of music. And there's also no high end on those records, you know. It was all vinyl and cassettes and 8-tracks and stuff. So, you know, the sound was just as important as the style of the writing. The style of the writing, you know, you put some chords together, you get with guys like the guys that are in my band, and you just start jamming the stuff out, and, you know, and everybody just thinks it's 1970 all the time, and that was our mindset. Just pretend we're living in 1970 for the next 2 years, and that really helped us to focus. And, you know, obviously, you know, we'd tell stories about the Beatles and Zeppelin and Pink Floyd, you know, and we'd smoke reefer and, you know, sit around and then stand up and start playing whatever came out, you know, and that was really the process of it. And I had a lot of help in the process. 2 guys, Greg Worth, who's Steve Vai's engineer, is one of my best friends, and this other guy, Mitch Davis, who actually wrote the first song on the album, is another producer out in New York, and we all have the same birthday. So there's some kind of levity to that, you know, there's some kind of thing, because they really helped me along in this process of putting it together and contributing, you know, their thoughts, opinions, ideas. And it was really a lot of people involved in making this record. You know, I started making it, and Steve Vai was the recipient, you know, every day after every session, and then he decided he was going to get rid of his label. So we had a conversation with Mike Varney, and he took over that. So, you know, all these guys, everybody from Mike Varney to Steve Vai to Mitch Davis to Greg Worth to all the guys in the band, you know, every day was, you know, at the end of the day, everybody got an MP3 of what we had done that day, and then everybody made comments, and then we changed things, you know. Mm-hmm. It was a real open-minded thing, and that's kind of the purpose of the cover songs that are on there, because those are kind of the anchors. And those were the workaround songs. It's like, okay, you know, the 3 Dog Night version, you know, that was a sound we were going for. So we figured we'd record it, you know, and get it as close to a tonal quality that we loved. And then when we move on to record 2 new songs, we go, hey, you know, not too much high end, you know, not too much snare, you know, not too much cymbals, you know, just keep everything back there and keep it dynamic. And that's really the thing that sets it apart from everything else being recorded today, is when people get in that final process of making a record, you know, they want it to be really loud, you know, and in the mastering process, when you crank everything, you lose dynamics. You know, you just have like this barrage of sound that hits you in the face, and it's fun, but I think that it's been overdone, and people are used to it, and people just kind of expect that sound, all of this really loud thing coming out. And this record's a pretty quiet record, you know, and if you put it up to something that's modern. So you just got to turn your stereo up and everything comes to life, and you go, oh, wow. You know, it's almost 3-dimensional in a way.
Definitely. Now, Tracii, after so many years of recording, basically classic metal or, hard, aggressive rock or whatever you want to deem it.
Right.
Certainly you come to a certain, standard more or less with the equipment that you use. Use the same kind of strings, use the same kind of pedals, whatnot. Obviously, with a project like this, you're trying to actually recreate a sound from the past. So did you find yourself using like Striggle strings or something that always sounds a little bit duller, or maybe some astronomy pedals or something like that just has that more old school, kind of raw, unpolished sound?
I mean, you know what it is that what it was, we strip away a lot of equipment. When you go back in time, you have to go back in technology. So it's, sitting there with a wah-wah pedal and an amplifier and a bunch of guitars, basically. That's some Marshalls, some old ones, some newer ones, some Vox amps. We use an acoustic bass amp, which is a very standard thing from the late 60s and early 70s. We use an old Yamaha drum set from the 70s. So most of the components were just the very basic things that everybody from Chuck Berry through Pink Floyd used, a lot of tape delays, things like that. But there was no modern stuff. The only thing modern was the Pro Tools rig that we edited in. But as far as everything, I didn't use any distortion pedals or anything. I used some fuzz pedals, but nothing that I would typically have used, like let's say on an LA Guns record. A big stereo, massive guitar sound that runs all the way from the beginning of the record to the end. It was, I had a luxury of time. And when you have that luxury, I would just sit in my studio, for 4 or 5 hours a day, and I would just tinker and experiment. And then Scott would come over to do vocals for a couple hours a day, so I never killed him, just let him sing as long as his voice was fresh, and then, wait for the next time it was fresh, and he'd come back over, and we had no pressure. There was no release date, there was no budget. There was nothing like that. I think we spent in 2 years, $7,000 total, and most of that went to Greg Worth mixing it and the mastering process. But as far as, gear and tape machines, I was buying tape machines on tour for $100, $150. It wasn't a big financial investment. It was just a huge time investment. And I gotta say, I'm satisfied. I finally did something that I put on, every 3 days. And oh yeah, man, I like this.
Well, Tracii, since you had to get into the moment and kind of, go back, transcend time, and go back to the 1970s, and you were trying to be as authentic as possible during the recording of this new CD. Did you find yourself attracted to women with unshaved bush?
Absolutely. No, it's not even a joke. It's just, the whole process transformed my psyche, just in the pictures I would look at, and the types of women that you're attracted to, because really, if you think about it, in the 80s, the mid 80s, I was 19. 85, I was 19 years old, and so all the porn you would watch, all these chicks had shaved beavers, and all this stuff, and the blue eyeshadow went away, and hair, and but I was always attracted to Seika and these older 70s kind of porn girls in my developmental years. So the girl I'm with now, she's real hippie, man.
she's Mother Earth like.
Yes, she is. Yes, nice. She is.
Nice.
She's the greatest human I've ever met in my life.
Just recreating that whole Janis Joplin vibe.
Oh man, she is she's a singer. We're recording a record right now. She's got more of a Joni Mitchell, Grace Slick thing going on.
Sure.
It's real folky, real psychedelic, really intense lyrics. It's great. It's good to just, eventually as a musician, when nobody's really paying attention, to just all of a sudden be yourself and do your thing, and then all of a sudden, I didn't think anybody would like this record.
Right. Well,
except the band.
Sure. Well, when we got the record, Chris and I were in the middle of actually doing the show when the publicist sent the record across, and Chris was like, "Hey, I just got this in the email. You want to review it right now, live on the air, without hearing it?" So we went for it, and we got into like about the 5th or 6th song, and we were both in agreement. I like this. So
that's great.
It was just like an instant like. Both of us were like, "Hey, I like this." And as I told you in the email this week, I passed your CD on to Don Dokken, and
nice.
And he loves it.
Oh, good. Yeah. All the guys in the band here at Rock Vault and stuff, they like it. It's just funny because it reminds you. It could just sit in your record collection. That's kind of the whole point of it. Is it just kind of fits in there just right. If you have like your Uriah Heep records and Three Dog Night records, and there's some Zeppelin in there, and all just and what we're doing is we're planning our second record right now already. And it's just going to be more of the same. There's going to be a twist on it, and I'll get into the twist about 8-9 months from now, what we did. But, pretty much, man, it's just going to be more of the same stuff, and we'll probably be better at it. And it might go a little quicker this time because we know what we're doing more. It almost took 2 years to finish the thing and get it out.
Sure.
But now all the songs are written for this record, for the second one. So we're at that point. So I might actually be able to record all the songs, without overdubs in, maybe a week's time. And it's just a matter of getting in there and arranging these things and adding the sparkly psychedelic things that make the first record, interesting. And the next record will be called the second record. It's as simple as that.
Sure. Well, Tracii, I want to go backwards a little bit before this project, emerged for us. No secret that the LA Guns that's out there now lost a guitar player at the same time that you publicly announced the end of your version of LA Guns, and a lot of people were thinking that it was going to be, that was the door opening for you to come back. I guess the question is, since I've not read it anywhere, was that ever talked about? And if it was, what made you decide not to? Right when all that stuff went down, Phil got a hold of me, and he didn't say, "Hey, why don't we do LA Guns?" He just said, "Hey, I just want to tell you I love you like a brother, and we did a lot of great things together." It was a really nice letter. And he wanted to bury the hatchet, and I said, "Yeah, great." And he said he was moving out to Vegas, where he knew I was going to be starting the show and everything like that. And we had briefly talked about me and him, maybe going out and doing something together. And I thought about it, and I actually came up with some ideas, and he came up with some ideas. And then, I'm just not into it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'd rather, keep it, my relationship with him on a high note, where, we can talk and just be human beings rather than I just have no interest in playing LA Guns music. It's just, it came and did its thing. People that are fans love the music. I love the music, but I don't want to play it anymore. I don't want to have to put on, I don't want to have to pretend. I saw somebody last night in Vegas that was going through the motions, and it really reminded me of not wanting to ever do that. Right.
And it's just better, I'm a creative person, and I just want to stay creative. I want to, move forward, and by me moving forward is really moving way backwards. That's what makes me happy musically. And, I'd be homeless if I was an LA Gun. It's just not a good idea. It's not a good idea for anybody to be in LA Guns.
Right, sure. But at the same time, you have, you are the identity of that band. So, for you, on some level, that has to be hard to walk away from something that you really built completely yourself, that the entire identity, people, when they say LA Guns, the first thing they think of is Tracii Guns, not Phil Lewis, not anybody else.
Sure.
It's
true.
You personally?
But everything, I was a kid, even when when I think about it, like when Hollywood Vampires came out, or even when Waking the Dead came out, which was in like 2002, you know, that was a long time ago already, you know. And when we did our first record, I was just turning 21, and I'm 47 now. I mean, I'm just such a completely different human, you know. And you know, the stuff that I liked then, I'm tired of. You know what I mean? The music I listened to get in the mood to write LA Guns music, I'm tired of it. There's not that it's bad music that I was listening to. It's just I listened to it. You know, it didn't stand the test of time in my heart. You know, and I'm not talking about the LA Gun stuff. I'm talking about the influences I had that enabled me to make and write that kind of music and that image and the whole thing. You know. So difficult. I mean, it was such a fucked up rocky road, starting in like 1995, that it just took all the fun of it away, you know, and I don't want to do something that's not fun, you know, especially now. I'm going to be 50 in a couple of years, you know. I just want to do what I want to do. Sure,
man. And now doing this project, and you know, this sort of piggybacks on that last question. Doing the League of Gentlemen, doing the Log Project, the people that are going to reach out to you because they see your name, their first impression is probably thinking, okay, this is going to be another, you know, classic metal type of a record. You know, have you found that as a stigma, and is that difficult to get past?
No, I mean, that's the thing is you know, I made it real clear, you know, when I started the League of Gentlemen process, that like, hey, everybody, this is not what you're going to think, and I don't care if you like it or hate it or anything. It's something else, you know, and you know, I can't tour, I can't do anything. You know, I'm here, I play 5 nights a week. So like, you know, even touring with the Logs is not in the cards right now. You know, I mean, maybe down the road, you know, when I'm not doing this, you know, we'll go do stuff. And that's the craziest thing about all this stuff surrounding the music, is that since it's come out, I get crazy offers for this band, you know, to hop on tours with other bands and to do different kinds of things with the band. And they're all really interesting, and I'm really excited that people are aware of it and everything like that. But no, it hasn't been a weird kind of stigmatized. You know, I think some people probably went into listening to the record, you know, thinking, oh man, you know, it's just going to be blah blah blah. But as you know, you guys are listening to the record, you get into it, and all of a sudden it's like it has nothing to do with me really. It's just like, oh, you know, this is really cool music, and the music is speaking a lot louder than whatever legacy, you know, I have with LA Guns. You know, at least at this point it is. And you know, we did 75 shows. I guess it was last year. You know, we just like drug it, you know, through every shithole I could find in the U.S. and Europe to make it a band. So the recording sounded like a band and not just me and a bunch of guys, you know, trying to fill space. And we didn't do any LA Guns tunes, you know. I mean, we did like some weird version of Jane that sounded like, you know, the Stones or something. But, you know, beyond that, really, you know, we would fuck around with a couple Gun songs, but it never fit. So, you know, the audience got what it got, and those people obviously bought the record. So it's something that people relate to, and, you know, I'm just looking forward to making more records and eventually, you know, getting out there and playing live with the band again. It's a great band, you know, but it just has to be right. You know, I've learned some things in the last 25 years.
Cool.
That's the best way I could put it, you know.
Well, Tracii, as I said, Chris and I were blown away when we first heard it. I mean, the name of the band obviously made us skeptical from the jump. But then the music did the speaking, and we were just like, wow, this is really something different, you know, completely unexpected, but it's very cool. Yeah. But now something that kind of relates to the League of Gentlemen, you're in the Rating the Rock Vault at the Las Vegas Hilton, and how did that come about for you?
how do I organize the thought? Robin McCauley, who I had done things with before, got a hold of me, I guess, around the middle of summer last year, and said, "Hey, I know this guy John Payne. He's in Asia, and he's putting a show together at the Mayan Theater in L.A. It's the history of classic rock." And I'm like, "Oh, that sounds fun." I thought it was just like a cover gig or something, And so Howard Leese was already in, guitar player from Heart and everything. I didn't really know the other guys, but Robin said, "Yeah, call this guy John. He'll tell you a little bit about it." And he said, "Hey, yeah, it's kind of like it's got a script, kind of a thing." I'm like, "Oh, that's weird, And anyway, so I learned all these songs while I was on tour and came back and got into rehearsal, and then there are all these kind of businessy kind of characters around, paying for really nice rehearsal spaces and food, and it's like a real kind of gig thing. I'm thinking, God, a lot of effort going into this for one show, And we did the show. It was a success, and it was great, and the production was amazing, and all that stuff. And we were wrapping up the League album right about that time, and I got a call, after the first. We played, I think, in October, and then by January 2nd or 3rd, John Payne had called me and said, "Hey, you want to do this for real?" And I'm like, "What do you mean do it for real?" And "Oh, we got this thing in Vegas, And he gave me the details, and I was like, "Really? I can go live in Las Vegas? I don't have to drive all over God's creation to play music, and the things are unbelievable that we play, and we do them the right way and everything." And I said, "Sure, So I'm still out here. It's been 6 months, and it just keeps going, and people love it, and it's the greatest gig in the world because, I work 2 hours a day and I record and write all day. I go home for a couple days a week to hang out with my kid. And so it's, pretty organized life right now. Most organized life I've had my entire existence. So
nice.
It's fun, and so I'm really surrounded by, the 70s. It's crazy.
Right. Well, I had Paul Shortino on the show about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he gave me a pretty in-depth interview and talked about the Rating the Rock Vault, and he just talked about it as that was the greatest thing that's ever happened to him. And speaking with you, obviously, it's probably one of the best things that's happened to you as well.
I think I'm not the youngest guy in the band, but I'm the second youngest guy in the band. And some of the, like Paul and Robin and Howard, the guys who are older, it's such the right move, to be able to still play in front of, a big audience with full production, 5 nights a week. Actually, Howard was just out on tour with Bad Company. He just came back. But it's one of those gigs that just gives you the freedom to do other things while you're, working your butt off every night, playing to a really mixed audience. That's the coolest thing about it. There's little kids and there's people, sitting in their chairs with their oxygen tanks on. It's Las Vegas, it's such a different thing. It's not about people banging their head and being up in the front of the stage and all that. It's a show, it's a performance, it's entertainment. So certainly, it's the right time for us kind of musicians to be able to do something like this, and I think everybody's really grateful for it. And it definitely settled a lot of nerves, and it enabled me to sit down for a minute and reflect on the last 25 years and appreciate it a lot more than just, constantly writing, recording, and touring, just constantly.
Sure.
It takes its toll on you. There's no retirement plan for musicians. You got to work till you die, basically.
Sure. Well, Tracii, Neeley kind of touched on it a little bit. With the gig with the Rock the Vault being, a big project for you, and one of the most, one of the projects that you feel as one of your better projects in your career, and certainly, you've done amazing things in LA Guns. Where does being on The Price is Right rate?
Oh, that's a blast. That was kind of a fluky thing because I'm a Dean endorser, Dean Guitars. And the guy that they used to have was a younger guy that would demo the guitars, on the showcase things. And Josh, my partner over there, who we designed my guitar together, he just called me one day. He goes, "Hey man, this guy that we count on out there that always does it, he can't do it. You feel like doing it?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, man! I'll do it." And talked to the producer, and Drew Carey knew who I was. So I showed up the first time, and it was just really a comfortable thing to do, and there's no money involved or anything. I just do it to get out there. It rates up there. Being like 100, new Facebook likes, so that's a good thing. They're probably all, housewives.
You're breaking up, Tracii.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine now.
Oh, what I was saying is, I get the housewife demographic from doing that.
Nice. Well, Tracii, you got a lot of good things going on for you. You've got the League of Gentlemen CD, which I highly recommend if you're a fan of the, old school rock. I kind of detected, obviously, Zeppelin in there, Hendrix, kind of some Eric Burden in the Animals, even some Spencer Davis group.
Absolutely, man. That's the shit.
Yeah, and I agree with that. So, what a great record. I love it. Tell people where they can find it and how to get a hold of it.
It should be everywhere in the States. It's easy to find, and if you're somewhere else, you just got to get it on iTunes. But it's in Best Buy and all the only remaining places to buy CDs. One of the problems is we only pressed like 3,000 CDs, so a lot of the stores only got one or two. So we're making some more to get them, restocked. But but it's on iTunes and all that stuff. I wanted to tell you something really quick before we go.
Okay.
I just finished scoring my first movie. This movie, High on the Hog, which is I don't know if people are that familiar with Sid Haig, but he was the creepy guy and the big clown in the Rob Zombie movies. And so that's going to come out probably in 2014, and that's pretty wild stuff. I'm pretty excited about that, and I'm starting to do a lot more of that kind of stuff, and so I'm playing more now than I ever have in my life.
Wow, look at you. High on the Hog. I thought that might have been like a follow-up to Porky's or something.
No, it's a little bit darker than that.
Nice. And where can people find you, Tracii? I know you got a Facebook out there. At least there's like a half a dozen. There's a half a dozen Facebooks out there for you.
Yeah, but the one is just Facebook Tracii Guns. That's it. I don't even have a website. Nothing. That's it, man. It's Facebook.com/Tracii Guns, and then the League of Gentlemen, we have a Reverb Nation page where people can go and listen to the original recordings of the songs, and there's information about the band there, and pretty simple stuff.
Excellent. All right, Tracii. Well, I'm glad we made connection here, and you're part of the show again after I don't know how many years. But
it's been a long time.
It's been a long time. But we're glad to make connections with you again. Glad you're doing well with the Rating the Rock Vault. Excellent new release, League of Gentlemen. And, good things for you, man.
Hey, man, you work hard, it pays off eventually.
Yes. So I've been told. I've only been doing this show 18 years now.
Amazing, right?
It is.
And you still love it.
I do. And you were one of the first guests I ever had on the show.
I remember coming in the studio.
Right. And I also sprang to get you guys a limo and bring you to Akron, Ohio for a CD signing for your Man in the Moon. Remember that?
That's right. That's when Muddy was in the band. That was awesome.
Yeah, I have that picture hanging on my wall in the studio here.
Oh man, that's great news, man. I'm glad. No, we'll do this more often. I'm gonna, I'll be making records a lot quicker over the next, 10, 15 years, I hope. So we'll have a lot of shit to talk about, I hope.
Excellent, Tracii. Well, you're welcome to come on anytime. So anyway, Tracii, since I haven't had you on the show in a while, I'm going to ask you the traditional classic metal show question. How has Lemmy from Motorhead influenced your career?
Oh, that's a loaded question because he's kind of like my dad in a million ways. I hang out with him about 2 times a year. I go over to his house for about 8-10 hours, and he whipped out, his favorite records, and we listened to him, and we drink whiskey and stuff. And, I tried to get a hold of him, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and I heard about what happened, and I haven't heard from him, so I don't really know what's going on with him right now. But he's in my documentary that's going to come out next year, too. But he's influenced me lately. My last record listening party with him was all, not Dwayne Eddy.
Eddie Cochran?
No, not Eddie Cochran. The guy that produced the Stray Cats records. What's his name, man? You hear me knocking, but you can't come in. What's
Eddie Kramer?
Name, no, not Eddie Kramer. It's oh
Ed
my
Koch?
God, I can't believe him. What was that?
Ed Koch?
No, yeah, Ed Koch. No, it's oh man, I can't think of the guy's name right now.
Eddie Haskell?
Eddie, it was the Beaver, actually. It was the Beaver. No, he's had a crazy influence on me in the last 10 years, just because, when you hang out at Lemmy's pad, man, and you listen to Lemmy music, and he tells you why it's better than everything else, and then all of a sudden you believe it, and then you buy the records, and then you start ripping licks off from those records, and it's all over. I love that man. What a gentle soul, and just a powerful icon of rock and roll, man. He's just, he's Lemmy. He's the man.
Excellent, Tracii. All right, Tracii, again, we appreciate you taking the time. Feel free to come on the show anytime. You want to plug something, say hello to Paul Shortino for me. And
I will.
And, well, as a tradition, we always let the artist pick the closing track from the latest release and maybe tell us a quick story about it. What should we play? We played The Witch earlier, so...
Oh, that's great. That's an old Sonics tune. What do we play? Play Sugar Mama, man. It just kicks people in the face.
Okay.
It's a good one.
Any particular story behind that at all, or?
Sugar Mama was, man, it's written by about 200 people. And I got hip to it. Muddy actually hit me to it. We have another band called the Bastard Blues Band, and we were doing it in that band. He saw this little video on YouTube, and Zeppelin demoed that song up, for their first record. They never finished it, so we finished it. And it's just, man, it's just so weird. It's such a weird song. I mean, it's a blues song, I guess, but it's just so odd and strange, and Scott just sounds, so authentic and great. I love that tune. I love playing that tune live.
Excellent.
It's the best tune on the record, no doubt about it. I love that song, man. It's fun.
Kids like that song. I got videos of two different kids, like with their whatever that video game is with the guitar, playing air guitar to Sugar Mama. In the same week, I got this from their parents that they're throwing the record away because they can't hear Sugar Mama anymore.
Nice. All right. All right. Anyway, the new release from Tracii Guns, The League of Gentlemen. Go pick it up. Really, you're going to love this new record. And, well, here it is. This is Sugar Mama exclusively here
on your classic metal show.